Monday through Tuesday of next week. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much. And Terrence is, yep.
I'm Jesse and the Rippers. I'll see you at 4 o'clock, guys.
Next stop, Sherry.
Your host. I'll be with you through 4 p.m. and let's talk a little bit about what we've lined up for this first hour that we have here together. President Trump has said that the ceasefire with Iran is on life support. And while we don't know what could come next, should it cease to exist, we do know that the fighting that already happened before it was significant. And we're talking to an assistant professor of ancient Near Eastern studies at UChicago who is helping lead a project to document damage to cultural heritage sites in Iran during the war. She's also going to discuss, of course, the toll the war has been taking on Iran's cultural heritage and environment, things that go way further than any conflict we could have. Also, typically, we're talking to Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb about his studies and theories on space, but today we are getting a little Hollywood. Yes, our friend just wrapped up shooting a movie, and we're getting the first details all about it. That should be a great conversation. Plus, Illinois is nearing 3 years without an illegally abandoned baby. That is a huge milestone. Almost 25 years after the Safe Haven law passed. It's a cause for celebration, of course. Also a time for education, and the executive director of the Save Abandoned Babies Foundation is going to be zooming in soon. So looking forward to all of those things. But first, the director of Legal Action Chicago is joining me now that a district judge has weighed in on years of delinquent property taxes that were sold in Cook County. Thank you so much for being here.
Good to be here.
Certainly appreciate your time and helping us to kind of sift through this. I think it caught a lot of people by surprise. Walk us through how we got here.
Cook County and the Cook County Treasurer, Maria Pappas, have a system where, and actually all the counties in Illinois have this system, where if you don't pay your property taxes, within a year they're sold at an auction to investors called tax buyers. And they actually pay the taxes. In return for that, they get a lien and they get the right to charge 12% interest, I believe, and charge fees and charge subsequent years' taxes. And that all adds up. So 2.5 years later, the homeowner has a deadline to what's called redeem by paying the tax buyer, for this set of taxes and charges. And if they don't, the tax buyer gets a deed to the house. So the homeowner loses the house. Mm-hmm. When the homeowner loses the house, they also lose all the market value of the house over and above what was owed for the taxes, the redemption amount. And that's what the case was about, this home equity that was lost as a result of the tax sale and tax deed process in Cook County.
How did this go on so long?
This has been the system in Cook County for decades, mm-hmm. And in the state of Illinois, for that matter. The lawsuit was filed in December of 2022. In May of 2023, so 6 months later, the United States Supreme Court said, yes, indeed, the law says, the Constitution says, that this kind of a taking of home equity violates the Constitution, the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution, which says that you cannot take private property for public use without just compensation. So that was in a case involving the system in Minneapolis. It's a little bit different than ours in Cook County, so that didn't end the case, but we've been litigating the case ever since then.
And so did that was one person, one homeowner that brought that? Because it sounds like, we're talking about something that affects a lot of people, which would kind of be like a class action in some situations. So how does that work?
We have two individuals who this happened to. one who lives in Maywood who had a house worth $160,000 and lost it for a tax debt of about $20,000. And the other who had a home worth $250,000 and lost it for a tax debt of around $25,000 or $30,000. And but that's the possible order of magnitude on this. They are both, older people who have become medically fragile and have lost the ability to earn money. The houses were fully paid up. There was no mortgage on either one of them, and they just couldn't pay the taxes. It wasn't like they were ignoring them; they just couldn't pay them. So those two people represent what's called the class of all people similarly situated. So it's the people who lost their house by a tax deed since December of 2020. The people who lost their house to a tax deed that had to go to a tax buyer, and the value of the house, as ascertained by the Cook County tax assessor, was above what was owed for the taxes. So that is about, there are 500 or 600 of these every year. And the class, we had an expert look at the records we could get. An expert of ours in 2024 determined that there were over 1,700 people in the class. And we think that is now more like 2,000 or even 2,500 because these tax deeds keep getting issued under the current system.
And they keep going up.
Pardon?
I said, and they keep going up.
They keep going. The taxes themselves keep going up, yes, and people's ability to pay them it gets more and more difficult, especially later in life, and people who don't have all that many resources to begin with. But think about it. This is most people. This is their big asset. Their one chance for generational wealth or some kind of savings or financial security. And for it to go up in smoke like this is disastrous and could cause them to be homeless and so forth until things settle down. So last December, the judge ruled that the Cook County system indeed violates the Fifth Amendment and the Eighth Amendment, which prohibits excessive fines. And but it said, it didn't rule yet in December that Cook County was liable to pay people's home equity back to them. We had to have a trial on that, which we did in April. And the issue in the trial was did Cook County know what was going on, but nevertheless fail to do anything about it, were indifferent to it. And the ruling we got this past Monday was that after the trial was that that's the case, and that Cook County is liable to pay damages to the people in the class.
And when we say Cook County is liable, like, whose office is accountable for this?
Well, the county itself. The process is led by Treasurer Pappas on behalf of the county. So the county itself is liable to pay the damages. Now, understand there's a little more work to be done in the court before it becomes final, and there's undoubtedly going to be appeals. In fact, the treasurer already has an appeal after the December ruling. So we're a little, there's more work to do, and it isn't a done deal because, courts can rule one way or the other. We're very confident about it. But it'll be a while, but people should be aware, if they've been in this situation or they know somebody who's been in it, there could come a time in, a year from now or give or take a few months where there'll be a chance to make a claim to get your home equity back. And so just, my advice to folks would be to stay tuned because when that happens, there will be this chance to make a claim, but you probably won't get the money if you don't make the claim. So.
And how would they be notified? Would that come from?
That's part of what still needs to be determined.
Yeah.
But they will be notified if we get to that point, right?
Right.
There's going to be an appeal and so forth.
Yeah. I mean, the appeals could push it back years.
A year, maybe a little. It could be more than that, but it could go quickly, which in that context would be a year.
Okay. All right. So if someone thinks that they have fallen into this category, I mean, should they be reaching out to your office? To your organization? I mean, if they're trying to get a jump
yes.
on this, what should they do?
They could reach out to us, or just bide their time and wait for notice. There's also a website. Everybody in this class, at least the 1,700 people, previously got a notice giving them the chance to sort of opt out and not be included in the class if they wanted to do their own lawsuit or something. And so that notice period ran out last November. So there was a website for people to look at there, but unfortunately, I don't have that web address on me here. I didn't anticipate your question. I should have.
It's okay. It's okay. We have time, so I try to get as much information as possible from you while you're here. And, for those who you said were given the option to do their own thing, do you anticipate some more lawsuits to come from this? I mean, people who aren't in
because
this class?
At the end of that notice period, where only 2 people opted out, at the end of that period, that they're now in the class, and nobody else can file a lawsuit on this in Cook County, at least, for residential properties. There are other lawsuits around the state, actually. There's another case involving 10 of the collar counties, and there's a case downstate involving all the rest of the counties in the state. So this is throughout the state.
Yeah.
Our case, though, with Cook County is about at least a year ahead of those other cases.
And for Cook County, I mean, is this pervasive, the 2,500 people? I mean, are they throughout the county, or are they pretty much in like a couple of specific areas?
They're throughout the county, but the treasurer herself has said that this deeply affects older adults and Black and brown adults. So probably predominantly south and west sides and suburbs, but actually throughout. One of our plaintiffs is in Evanston, another one is in Maywood, for example. But it does heavily affect people who are older and people in Black and brown communities who are homeowners or were homeowners.
And I would just think about someone who's older getting a notice about this, maybe in the mail or something. They probably didn't think that this was a legit thing to opt in.
There's all, if we get to a point after the rest of the proceedings in the trial court, and then, if we win the appeals, we hope to have a, multi-pronged strategy to reach out to people who might react the way you say, or who might not get the notice at all. If you think about it, these are people who got kicked out of their own house, and who knows where they went to next, or where they went to after that, right? Because now their whole housing situation has become unstable. We'll need to do a bunch of different strategies to try to reach out to as many people as possible, hopefully including, information on television stations.
Yeah, circle back with us for sure. I mean, we want to be a part of the process of letting people know if there is a next step.
Right. Very good.
Thank you so much for your time today, John. We appreciate it. And again, please do circle back.
Glad to hear it. I'm glad to be here and Legal Action Chicago is happy to serve in this way.
All right. Take care. Have a good rest of your day. It's 1:15, everyone. Give us 2 minutes, and then we'll get into our conversation about a huge milestone for babies and families in this area. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's just about 1:18 right now, and a baby has not been illegally surrendered in the state of Illinois since 2023. According to the Save Abandoned Babies Foundation, that's a total of more than 1,000 days and counting, nearly double the previous record. So let's talk about it with Wendy Patera, Executive Director of Save Abandoned Babies Foundation. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Tell me your thoughts even in just hearing that stat. When you hear it in your own, I mean, I know you all are really on top of this, but when you hear it, what goes through your mind?
It's just amazing. We work so hard to make sure that everybody is aware that that opportunity is there for somebody who is a mom in crisis, doesn't know what to do, that the safe haven law is there, that they can relinquish their child, they can walk away, there's no legal repercussions, and that that baby will be placed in the arms of a loving family and have a good life after that.
Let's be real specific. Detail the safe haven law for someone who has never heard of it before.
The safe haven law is you may safely relinquish your unharmed newborn up to 30 days old in the state of Illinois, and you can bring your baby to a police station, a fire station, a campus police station, emergency medical facility, or a hospital, as long as there's somebody there. So they have to be a staff station. The person on staff then takes that infant from you and offers you some paperwork that you can choose to accept or not. And they make sure the baby has not been harmed. And then the baby goes to the hospital for a checkup. And then the hospitals have a list of adoption agencies where they can call. And then within 24 to 48 hours, that baby is in the family environment for a potential adoption.
You said paperwork that has to be signed.
No,
they
it
can
doesn't have to be signed.
Yeah,
no.
can choose whether to sign it or not. Is that to relinquish your rights to the child?
No, it's the paperwork is more for the mom, making sure she's okay, what she can do for postpartum care, It's also a little form if she chooses to fill out about her medical history and her family. There's no names required. She can just mail that in at a later date and or not. You know, most people don't fill that information out.
So from a legal standpoint of the rights, at what point in time is that settled as to whether the person could come back around and assume responsibility of the child?
I think it's 30 days after the last 30 days. So the baby's 30 days in, and I think they have 30 days from then to reclaim the baby, or that baby then can be adopted.
And just talk about that time period, how tumultuous that can be for a woman who has just given birth.
Well, it can be very stressful. A lot of times it can be somebody who didn't even know they were pregnant, and suddenly they have a baby and they don't know what to do with it. And what has happened in the past, maybe they'll throw them in the dumpster or put them in a cardboard box somewhere. And because they just didn't know what to do. When those incidents did happen, it was always up to the police to find out who did it. And many moms have been charged with murder because of that. And that's what initiated the law in 2001, 25 years ago, to get it started so that people have an opportunity to save a life and not put that baby inside of a dumpster or the trash or wherever that they felt they needed to do at that time. They didn't have any other opportunities. And I feel that, our goal at the Save Abandoned Babies Foundation has been to just make sure everybody knows about the law. You just never know who you share that information to, who you talk to, that you may end up saving a life someday because you share that information.
Yeah, my heart honestly breaks thinking about the babies whose lives were lost in those situations, but also for any woman that felt that she didn't have other options or felt she didn't have resources or someone to lean on during that time. My heart breaks for both. And so do you have any idea of how many, or do you all have a record of how many babies have been saved in this time?
In the state of Illinois, we've had 163 relinquishments, and 82 or 84 have been, unfortunately, have died as a result of misuse by the mom. They have not relinquished them, and they did whatever it is they did. So, it's 163 were safely relinquished. These kids are now the first one in 2001. That they're out of college now. They're in college. They're growing older. We have a family picnic every year that gives an opportunity for the families in Illinois to get together and share their stories of how their loved one came to them and how much joy they brought to their family and made their families complete. The stories are just so heartwarming to hear about how they came into the family, what they went through, the families, the up and down, and the fact that they finally had that baby in their arms. And it's really great to meet the kids and the families, and just to see where these kids, where they're going to go in the future. Yeah,
I guess you have to feel like that is such a godsend when you are in a situation where, you're seeking out that addition to your family, and then something like this happens that then enables that opportunity for you that you might not have seen before. On the flip side, do you know how many women have come back around to claim their children?
I don't know how many have actually claimed the children back after the certain amount of time. I don't know that we've had any, but when you drop the infant off, part of the paperwork is adoption agencies as well. If you drop them off at a hospital, sometimes they like to give you that information about adoption, so that that information is out there if they know to ask. And the flyers that you can get, like the police and the fire, we have those flyers on our website, and they're really nice because they come in English and Spanish and Polish, so that they cover pretty much everybody around Illinois. And they have a an Illinois adoption registry brochure, the postpartum health information, and exactly what you just did, a little more information about the law. And I think it's really nice that these are provided for the mothers or fathers who drop these infants off.
And
because sometimes they just don't know what happens next, and this gives them information to let them know.
Yeah. Be it that it's 25 years since the safe haven law was passed, you do have some babies that were surrendered years ago that would now be in their 20s. What do you hear from those folks, those young adults, about that journey?
Yeah. Their families are incredibly open about it, and we even have one of our babies that were relinquished is her name is Riley, and she's featured in our ad video that we have on our website, and it just shows how it's such a good thing, this law. It's such a great thing that you are offering your child up for a better life than maybe what you thought you could give to them. And instead of, again, putting them in a dumpster, you're giving this child opportunities they may not have ever had. I mean, there are so many families around saying, hey, we really, really, really want to adopt a child. There's hundreds and hundreds of families, and giving a family that opportunity, it's just amazing. And they're so open about it. I mean, they really are. They none of them have that we've met have said anything about, there's Riley. And she's fabulous. She's just wonderful. She is so wonderful. Yeah, there's a video on the very front page all the way at the bottom with her. But this is Riley's story here. She helps us out with our fundraiser that we do in October every year. She comes out to events if we need her, and she's just fabulous.
I love it.
She's one of our best spokespersons.
I love it because truly, somebody might say that it's a callous thing to turn your child over, but I would say it's a sign that you care, that you're in a bad place, but that you actually care that they have a better life than you thought you could give them.
Right, absolutely. I think it's truly a compassionate thing to do, and what I love about the law is that we say there's no shame, there's no blame. You bring your baby in, you can drop him off or her off, and as long as there's no signs of abuse, you can walk away and know that child will be cared for the rest of their life.
Well, thank you for joining us today to talk about this milestone. Looking forward, do you feel like there is even more on the horizon, or that laws, support, education is going in the direction that you would like to see moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. We were able to get the campus police added as a drop-off location.
Wow.
I mean, surprisingly enough, the age range is not as young as you may think. So that was a great addition to the law. Some states have, you can call 911. We do not have that here. And some states also have where if you give birth in the hospital that you can use the safe haven law, and we don't have that here. So those are some of the things that we're looking at for the future as possibilities for the state of Illinois.
Well, thank you for what you do to save babies, and I wish that I could see all of those happy families that have been affected in such a beautiful way in these 25 years.
Yeah, they're wonderful. They're wonderful to see.
Congratulations on the 25. Here's to many more.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Take care. It's about
You too.
1:30, everyone. So give us 2 minutes, and we're going to bring in the one and only, the much beloved Harvard astronomer, Avi Loeb. All right, it's 1:32. We're waiting on our next guest to join the chat. That would be Harvard professor, astronomer Avi Loeb, so that we can find out all about his latest movie opportunities. And in fact, he has just joined us. So let's bring him into the chat. Great to see you, Hollywood.
Thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure to join you. I haven't changed much.
I don't know. You were a few minutes late this time. We were like, okay, now he's got the Hollywood bug.
Well, it's just that a lot of people ask me for things, so it takes me a while to respond to all of them.
Do you say have your people call my people now?
I actually got a text message from Jerry Bruckheimer today. He's one of the most accomplished directors in Hollywood, and I had a recent exchange with Margot Robbie, so I do get into that vibe, but I'm still a scientist, and I feel that it's a great privilege to be a scientist. In fact, this morning I received a letter from an Air Force base in Japan, and they're asking me to give a message to the kids in those families overseas that serve the military. And my main message is remain kids, stay curious, because you know that is the only opportunity we have in life to learn new knowledge. I mean, when kids become the adults in the room, that's when they lose their curiosity. And the amazing thing about science is that it offers us the opportunity to stay curious like kids, and I still cannot believe it that I'm getting paid for staying curious.
Oh, it's a wonderful thing, and we all benefit from your curiosity. We're very curious about this movie that you were working on, so please tell us more. Tell us what you can. We want the details.
Well, this is a movie titled Saul Hershowitz's Guide to Extraterrestrial Life. The filming was yesterday in New York City, before that in Utah, and I just joined them simply because I'm being included in the script of the movie, where the main character, called Saul, has an encounter with aliens, and then decides to interview Professor Avi Loeb, who he admires and calls a genius and wants to speak with about the experience he had. And so he arranges an interview. So that's the role that I play. I have to sort of accommodate the needs of the script. And we met at a comic bookstore where he introduces me, and then I ask him about his experience and explain to him that it's not the type of aliens that he imagined. It may be another type, and basically guide him as to how to proceed. And that's my role, basically. And and I must say that it's relatively straightforward for me to play myself. In fact, people who know me would testify, including my wife, that I cannot play any other role. And it's quite a privilege to be asked to play yourself. I realize that even Brad Pitt is not allowed to play himself. Often he's given the role of a character that he must play. So that's a great privilege, but I won't be able to do anything else other than play myself. And the beautiful thing about this filming set was that the timing was selected to be during the winter time, December, and they made some artificial snow that I had to walk through every time I stepped out of the filming scene. And we did 7 takes. So on a bright spring day, there was some snow around on my shoulders that I had to clean every time. But altogether, I must say that it's much more rewarding to be a scientist in reality rather than play it in a movie. Because, you know, the movie is just about repeating an idea that the director or the scriptwriter had, whereas in reality, you know, it's like a detective story. You never know what will happen next, and nobody hands you a script. In fact, you know, we are living our life without a script. Some people are trying to hand out, to give us their script for our life. We are not obligated to accept their scripts. You know, it happened throughout the centuries of the history of humanity that the script changed all the time. Frankly, you know, we arrived late to the cosmic stage. The sun formed only in the last 1/3 of cosmic history. So the cosmic play took much longer than we were able to witness. We just came late and we are not at the center of stage. So we're clearly not the main actors. And my lesson from that is that we should seek other actors, like the ones that are more important in the cosmic play, meaning that we should look for some other civilizations that had been around for longer than we did, because they may have a better idea of what the play is about. Instead of us inventing our own scripts, let's ask them whether there is a better script that describes the cosmic play, you know, more than we currently know, simply because we didn't have enough time to learn what it's about.
Now, Professor Loeb, speaking of the script, what was it like for you not to be the expert in that setting, but to have experts around you telling you what you needed to do?
Well, that implied that we had to take 7 takes before we got all the details ironed out. But I should say that at the end, the director said that, why don't you answer some questions about life in the universe spontaneously? That was not part of the script. And that was the best part as far as I'm concerned, because it lasted longer than the rest of the filming. And the character of Sol, the person who played Sol, who is actually happened to be quite a famous actor who played Superman in 2006, and he asked me all kinds of questions about life in the universe. And then I have to say that without any script, I did much better. So at the end, the director came and said, "You're an excellent actor," but I'm not an actor at all. You know, I can do much better when answering spontaneously the questions that I'm being asked.
Yeah. So that is when it really felt the most real to you, when there was no script and you're just being you. So on that note, did you feel like the script was way far out there, or did you feel like the script kind of stayed true to reality from the perspective of space and outer space?
In fact, I thought the script was pretty good, but it's not. It's more of a fiction, a science fiction situation, rather than describes what we actually know about the universe. But within, you know, the freedom of creativity that the scriptwriter has, you know, I didn't have any quarrels. I mean, obviously, you know, it discussed aliens and an encounter that we never had in reality, as far as I know. At least I haven't seen the evidence for it. But that's okay. That's a part of the artistic process. And Brandon Routh, who played Saul, did a very good job of pretending to be quite an unconfident nerd. So when I went with him in the car leading to the filming set, we exchanged some views. He asked me about life in the universe, and I asked him, you portrayed Superman in 2006, who is supposed to be the most physically fit model that we have, and now you're playing a nerd, and how is that all within you? And he said, yeah, he actually, you know, in private life is actually a sort of like a nerd, and wants to know more, and not really physically showing off. And I told him that, you know, in my day job, I'm a nerd, and although I jog every morning at sunrise 3 miles, so I'm actually very physically fit. So we both have these dual qualities in us, except he takes advantage of that to have a diversified portfolio of roles that he can play. I am not pretending to be an athlete anywhere else.
But you're diversifying your portfolio as well. So I just have a couple more questions before I let you go here. One, you know, we've had a lot of conversations, a lot of stories that we've done recently, a lot of controversy surrounding data centers. But one of our viewers is asking what you think about the idea to build data centers and energy plants in orbit to make Earth cleaner.
Right. This is an interesting idea, but it has a number of practical challenges that you know, make it not very appealing, in my opinion. This is an idea both promoted by Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. But here are the issues. If you put the data center in space, there is the thermal management, the cooling of the system. Now, the advantage of having it on Earth is that you can use water or air to cool the system as it heats up by processing data. Whereas in space, I mean, space has no air, no water, and you have to cool it by thermal radiation, but that's much more challenging. Especially if you're using megawatt scale AI chips that require massive kilometer-wide radiator arrays, you know, that's not very practical. Then there is the issue of damage that may be caused in space. You know, the Earth's atmosphere, as much as it looks to us as given, it serves a very important role of protecting us. It protects us from cosmic rays, energetic particles, and also protects us from micrometeorites that burn up in the atmosphere before reaching the ground. But in space, if we put probes or these systems way above the Earth's atmosphere, we don't have that protective magnetosphere and atmosphere far away, and those can be damaged not only by cosmic rays or micrometeorites, but also by solar flares. And so that would imply that the system will need to be fixed, but it's not easy to attend to a system that is so far away from Earth. It's much more practical to repair it on the ground. Then there is the issue of launching the system. You know, it's very expensive to launch massive server infrastructure to space. It will cost 10 times more money than the terrestrial options just because of the launch of these heavy systems. And GPUs, you know, these units that are used, often lose their quality or state-of-the-art properties. They depreciate quickly, and that means that we will have to replace them, which is not easy to do in space. So the financial analysis does not recommend putting these systems in space. Then there is the issue of upgrades and maintenance and you know, the hardware that needs to be checked, and it's really quite expensive to do it in space. And finally, there is the issue of communication, and you know, one would need the data to come back to Earth, and that requires very powerful lasers to transmit all this data, and it will produce some bottlenecks in the transfer of data. It's not at all clear to me that we can transfer the required data in real time. Finally, you know, there is this secondary issue, which is if we put a lot of these systems in space, they may produce debris, and there could be environmental damage. And also for astronomy, my own practice, it will be very damaging because there would be city lights in the sky. You know, all the telescopes that we often build, the observatories, are put on in remote locations, on mountaintops, to avoid city lights. But now, Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos will put city lights in the sky because they will put objects that are exposed to the sun. That's how they want to get the power to these data centers. And those systems will be illuminated by sunlight and will reflect the sunlight towards telescopes, even during the nighttime. So you will have city lights in the sky. And in addition, all the debris that is produced by some of these systems becoming either colliding with space trash or producing their own space trash, you know, that would be at some point not good for us. It could also affect conditions here on Earth, not only light pollution, but actual pollution of the atmosphere when these things burn up in the atmosphere. You know, all in all, I don't think this is a good idea to put it in space. Now, of course, one can imagine putting it on the moon. That's a completely separate matter because that will not affect us directly. But I really don't see the light at the end of this tunnel as being very attractive. And I would much rather have those systems close to us so we can take care of them and then get their data much more easily.
This is why we say the one and only Avi Loeb, perspective, context. You are one of one, sir. That's why Hollywood is calling. When can we see you in this movie? When is it going to be out?
Well, I hope they will. I mean, they're finishing the filming this week, but it will probably be done by the end of this year, around the same time, the end of 2026, around the same time that the Netflix documentary about my real life as a scientist will come out, hopefully. So you will be able to see the difference between the real Avi Loeb and the actor Avi Loeb, which is not very big, by the way. Of course, the good thing about the reality is that we might have more exciting things, you know, after the filming is done. If we find evidence for extraterrestrials, you know, that could exceed any expectations we have from script writers in Hollywood. And that's why, for example, Steven Spielberg asked me to let him be the first to know if we find, through the Galileo project that I'm leading, evidence for extraterrestrials, because nature is more imaginative than we are, and suddenly Spielberg recognizes that.
Well, whichever comes out first, we'll be saying, I know that guy. Thank you so much for your time yet again. We'll see what comes from the next set of files. We'll be calling you, okay?
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
All right, take care. All right, everyone, it's about 1:50 right now. As we were speaking with Avi, Professor Loeb, we had a view into a courtroom there in Salt Lake City. This has been a story that so many people have followed. This Utah grief author that's now been convicted of murdering her husband, lacing his cocktails with a fatal dose of fentanyl, and she's being sentenced on what would have been his 44th birthday. I believe they're doing some victim impact statements. We're going to listen into this very briefly before we get to our next conversation.
But if you do have a different running of the guidelines, those forms are not obvious, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I would say a sentence of 25 to life, and then if she serves additional time, does not guarantee parole. And I'm going to talk more about that.
Okay.
And it's almost unheard of for someone to be paroled at their first parole hearing on these serious offenses. And looking at the totality, there are mitigators. Corey has no criminal history, had no criminal history at the time of Eric's death. She was involved in positive ways in her community. She volunteered regularly. She headed up a sub for Santa every year. She was a friend, a daughter, and a mother, and excelled in these roles. She educated herself. She was involved in every aspect of her son's lives. There is no reason to hold her in prison for life. We asked this court to impose a sentence of 25 years to life. When you put aside all of the media, all of the injuries, and you look at the crime she is convicted of, this is an appropriate sentence. A sentence of 25 to life is not a sentence that guarantees the release of Corey Ridgens. It is not saying that she even should be released. What it is saying is that the decision whether she should be released is a decision for someone else to make on another day. A day that will be, at a minimum, 25 to 30 years in the future. A future that could look very different than today. Although today is not a day for forgiveness, that day may come. A sentence that allows for parole is a sentence that gives a pathway to forgiveness. You heard from Emery Blanchard, the only person in this room that understands what the Ridgens boys have been through. You heard how the day came when she missed her father. She wanted her father in her life. I know that she came to a place that she hoped to spend one more day outside of the prison walls with her father. And that day didn't come. He was not paroled, and he died in prison. I don't minimize what Corey's boys are saying today. I understand it's contradictory to what other people are saying regarding Corey as a mother. I don't know why they're saying these things, but what they think and feel today, they are allowed to think and feel those things. They should be. Their feelings are valid, and it's okay. And I think Corey will say this too, but she wants her boys to know it's okay. People change. All of us change. Corey will change. Those little boys will change. A sentence of 25 to life will not be easy time. It will be hard time. The first part of that sentence is generally served in maximum security for the first 3 to 4 years. But if the day comes when her children want to see her face to face, a 25 to life sentence will make that easier for them. If they, like Emery, decide someday they want a relationship with her, even one behind the walls of the prison, a 25 to life will make that possible. And a sentence with the possibility of parole, like I said, does not mean she will be paroled. It's very possible she will spend her life in prison. And quite frankly, if her case does not come back on appeal, and she is in prison and she maintains her innocence, parole's highly unlikely. But the Board of Pardons is uniquely qualified to make that decision. That is their job. And it is a particularly important job in the most serious of convictions. They will be the ones looking at a woman who will then be in her 60s or possibly 70s. They will decide if she has been rehabilitated and if she is a danger to the community. These are not decisions that can be made today. We don't stand here today asking you to give her a second chance. We ask you to let those best qualified make that decision when the time comes.
That is the defense attorney there making a plea against the 25 to life that Corey Richins is facing right now. A very difficult decision for this judge to make right now in the sentencing hearing, as the couple has 3 children, but in the hearing, in terms of the victim impact statements, the children themselves said that now they fear for their lives. So you hear the defense attorney saying, hopefully at some point in time they decide they want to have, a relationship with their mother. Well, those children are being raised by the husband who was killed, their father, by his sister and her husband, so an aunt and uncle. Very difficult situation. Again, this grief author who was now been convicted of aggravated murder, attempted aggravated murder, fraud, and forgery dating back to the death of her husband in 2022. We'll let you know once that sentence has been released there. But we do want to continue on with our conversations here on the show. We have our next guest already on the line, who is an assistant professor of ancient Near Eastern Studies at UChicago and the director for the Center for Ancient Middle Eastern Landscapes, or the CAMEL Lab. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking about not just the damage of today when it comes to the war in Iran, but how this conflict right now could impact that region for many years to come. And in saying that, how do you see it?
If you want me to specifically talk about the cultural heritage aspect, this is a region with a deep history. Not only Iran, but all of the neighboring countries deeply value their cultural heritage. It's part of the kind of national pride. They know their deep history. For many of these countries have sites that are, some of them are continuously inhabited for couple of thousands years. The destruction of these sites has a significant impact for the cultural identity and of these people, and kind of impacts how they see the possibilities for kind of future rehabilitation of the nation, and the kind of sense of national pride, the sense of national respect. It also impacts the possibility for national reconciliation. This is one of the main reasons why cultural heritage has been a protected category under the UNESCO 1954 Hague Convention, because cultural heritage has this ability to bring different fractions of the society together and allow for post-war and post-conflict rehabilitation and reconciliation. So this is all of these kind of positive potentials of the cultural heritage have been undermined and threatened by the damage that we have been seeing.
Tell me a little bit about how you all go about documenting the damage to these sites.
It's been very difficult to document this damage because Iran has gone into more than it's getting to nearly 3 months of complete internet blackout. And we have been trying to follow different Iranian media. So we have the center in collaboration with Society for Iranian Archaeology, which is a professional NGO, has been monitoring the Iranian media really with difficulty as much as the kind of the sites open up. What we do is we monitor for when some lists are released. Usually these lists are released by kind of in aggregates every now and then, every few weeks. We kind of look for these sites. We see which of them are national heritage lists. We locate them. We trace them on the National Heritage List. Then over time, especially for the sites that sustain major damage and are even more important, the local news agencies and cultural heritage organizations start to release kind of photos or just textual information about what are the nature of the damages. And for that, we monitor a wide range of media. Some of this information are published, for example, in Instagram channels of for example, the director of the center that runs a particular museum, or a Telegram channel of a particular cultural heritage news agency. So it's a painstaking job, and we monitor a wide range of images, and then we kind of, in a phase by phase situation, we validate the information, then we kind of update the information about the date of the damage. Sometimes for major sites, there are then later reporters sent to the site. So it's not a one-time project, and a lot of the sites go through further updates of the information.
You know, at the beginning of this conflict, President Trump really spoke to the people of Iran, and given the many protesters who had been killed in the early part of this year, he said that people needed to take their country back during this time. Do you see that ever happening?
No, I mean, I personally have never been, I have personally been completely against this approach. And I know that some of the Iranians, out of kind of political desperation, may have been, I would say, kind of probably misguided to think that this some kind of political salvation with bombing or war may happen. This has never happened in the history. As a historian, I believe in kind of a scientific and professional approach to future, and to thinking about what are the kind of well analyzed and well understood ways of out of various political and socio-political problems. So this was never going to be happening. No nation has been ever salvaged through bombing. The only thing that happens through war is further consolidation of the political grip and radicalization of the country, which unfortunately we have seen. So the fact that the people of Iran has been deprived of the basic rights, for example, internet, after this war, is just one example of how this war has kind of just exacerbated the situation.
And do you have friends, family that in any way you communicate with there?
I am the first generation that has migrated, so almost all of my family is in Iran, and of course I deeply worry about all of them. Since the war started, I've once spoken with my sister and my brother, and I barely have any news of anyone. So it's a kind of a one-way and occasional getting news out of the country. So yes, that's basically all. Everybody I know and I love is there.
What has that been like for you?
It's been very devastating. One of the ways that I try to cope with kind of my personal trauma has been to work with my colleagues to maintain this site that has been viewed by more than 8,000 people since the war started. Many journalists use this website to monitor and report on the damage to Iran's cultural heritage. And I feel like this is what we can do for our country and for our region. So this is how I try to cope with the personal trauma.
And just on a final note, I mean, as we're looking over the website, is there one site in particular that you find the most interest in, or that you think will be studied more so moving forward?
I'm not sure if there's one site. There's the sites that have been mostly the site that have mostly drawn attention have been the UNESCO World Heritage sites. What I prefer and I wish and I'm hoping that this website will provide is kind of drawing the attention away from only UNESCO Cultural World Heritage sites, which are only 6 sites, to more than 115 confirmed sites across the country that have sustained heavy damage. And I just kind of tell you one of these instances that is really kind of an example of how you asked me earlier about the future, how the country will deal with this future. If you look at the country, the city of San Andaj, for example, you're now looking at Tehran, which is the capital and sustained the most damages. It's more than 56 confirmed monuments, and at least 3 major historic quarters have been completely destroyed. But if you search for the city of San Andaj, which is on the kind of western border of Iran, it's a site with 12. It's in the province of Kurdistan. You can see to the west. It has 12 damaged sites, but it's a country. It's a underserved province, which is majority ethnic Kurdish people who are typically poor, and culture, kind of domestic culture tourism is one of their only ways of economic subsistence. And pretty much every single historic monument in this poor, small, and extremely important historic city has been damaged. If you search for the monument of Pir Omar, P-I-R-O-M-A-R, you can see that it's like completely obliterated. And basically not only the cultural heritage of this city, but also the means of its future subsistence have been completely destroyed. So this is not just about the identity, but it's how these communities will not be able to survive future kind of socioeconomically.
I'm sure that has a long-standing conversation for sure that will come from areas like that. What happens to the people there? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
today,
for having me.
and my best to your family.
Thank you.
It's 2:07, everyone. Give us 2 minutes, and then I'll set you up for where we're going in this second hour of Chicago Live for the day. Okay, welcome back, everyone. It's about 2:10 right now. Kind of looking over some of the things that we have for you in this next hour. We're going to bring in our 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. Producer to talk a little bit about what they're gathering for the 5 p.m. news. We're going to have a really important discussion about a change of name or changed acronym now for something that affects, I believe it's 1 out of 8 women in the country. And so please stand by for that, ladies especially. You don't want to miss that discussion. We've heard about PCOS, but do you know about PMOS? We'll talk about it. We're going to bring in Justine Baker to go over some of the things that are trending on our website. We'll talk allergies. Oh my goodness, if you were in the newsroom, all of us are sneezing. Like, what's going on? We're going to get an update from Loyola about new information that says that things might get worse before they get better for us all this season. We'll talk about the BUILD Act and the response that it's getting in Burr Ridge specifically. But we're starting in Waukegan. We talked to our friends there yesterday, the mayor there yesterday, about a big gift that they got that was attracting, I think, like 10,000 people to the area. But today, we're talking to Waukegan Public Works Department because Waukegan has launched upgraded online public works portal for everyone so that, when you have an issue, they can be super responsive. And we have Alonzo Jenkins to talk more about it now. Thank you so much for being here.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right. So let's first maybe think through, or you talk through all of the different types of things that someone could come to this website and report.
So as you mentioned, we upgraded our public works online request portal for our residents. As we rebuild Waukegan, we wanted to have a portal that's accessible for our residents. We don't want this just to be a public works infrastructure on rebuilding, but we want to make the community involved as well. So they will be able to give us concerns about submit requests on potholes, tree trims, tree removals, after our sewer repairs. They can put everything in a request and we'll get it. And the thing is, it goes right to the foreman. So they'll be able to attach a photo, give a good description of the issue, communicate it with the foreman, and the foreman then can receive it and get back to the resident and communicate with the resident.
Wow. And be it that you all have streamlined this process so much, I mean, do you have an idea of like, we'll get back to you in 24 hours or in a set time frame?
Well, we try to tell people, because we have to prioritize different issues. So we try to get back, we can try to get the issue resolved within 36 hours, depending on what it is, weather permitting. But we have a good turnaround. I would say we get pretty much every issue resolved within 24 hours. And we try to have good customer service. And
I mean, that makes a big difference when people want to have a way of reaching someone for the issues that they might find, instead of trying to say, like, who am I supposed to talk to? Where do I go for the resources? Having that all in one place and the ability to reach people very quickly. So how do you see it making things different there in the city of Waukegan?
Well, as we know, with every relationship, communication is key. And this is just an enhanced way for our residents to communicate their issues and concerns to our public works department. Again, as we rebuild Waukegan initiative, it's up to our residents as well to help us rebuild and to become a partner with us as we rebuild the city. So let them know that they're heard and their issues and concerns are being taken care of. The request comes to us, or a response goes back to the residents, let them know we got it. The issue has been resolved and the date it closed. So it really communicates well with the residents.
Now, you mentioned some of the things that people could, put as requests or concerns that they have. Even before this portal, is there like a, hey, don't call us if it's this type of thing? Like, what is the oddest thing people have turned to Public Works to try to solve?
Well, people can really let us know anything, and we'll get them to the right department within the city. You know, if it's a building department issue, we'll contact building department, let them know they have an issue. So it's just because it's not a public works issue, we strive on customer service. We're going to help you get the issue resolved.
That was a very nice response. I'm sure you go home sometimes, you're like, you won't believe, but anyway, we'll leave it there. So I'm also seeing that you have multilingual capabilities for this, and I think that's super important after speaking with the mayor yesterday, and he emphasized the large Hispanic population that you have in Waukegan.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and going again back to where I said communication is key for our residents. It's multi-language. A lot of residents can, it's not just Hispanic or, Spanish, but it's, it's Korean, Chinese, as long as Google can translate it, it can be translated into our Public Works request portal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. Well, this is wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time to tell us more about it. I think that your residents will definitely find this very useful. So far, do you know about how many requests are coming in per day or week?
We've gotten today 12 requests. So that's a real good. And, like I said, the residents are real excited. They can attach photos as well. They don't have to be guessing, and, they'll know exactly what the issue is, that we can see it as well.
Wonderful. Well, here's to the 10 to 12, and I'm sure you all are going to get plenty more as you communicate that this is available for more people out there. Thank you so much for making time with us to tell us about it today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, you take care. It's 2:16, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back to talk about the BUILD Act. Welcome back, everyone. 2:18, and we've heard a lot about the BUILD Act lately. It aims to make housing more affordable, but it has come with its fair share of praise and criticism. And we have Burr Ridge Mayor Gary Grasso, who is joining us now to tell us where he stands on this. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. This is a real pleasure. And an opportunity to speak on a very important subject. I don't think there's anything more important to most people than their homes and property values, and local control, which is being taken away by the BUILD Act. So I don't think anybody's against making homes and home construction more affordable. I think what we're talking about here is the middle market, so to speak, the condominiums, smaller homes, multifamily units, and those things are certainly opportunities for housing that we should all be looking at, but not through this legislation as written today.
So a key part of the legislation, as I'm seeing, would allow the condo or apartment complex of up to 8 units on any residential site with more than 2,500 square feet. Is that the point of contention?
That's a very big, major part of it. 2,500 square feet, of course, is something like 30 by 70. It's very, very small lots. That doesn't happen in most of the municipalities. But really the key issue is that the state is going to take away the zoning rights, and more important to the residents, and the residents won't understand this until their rights have been denied. They will not have due process. They will not be able to come to zoning board meetings, come to the village board, and speak on what they want or do not want in their own villages. So it's the takeaway of local control, zoning rights, due process to be heard, and very small restricted lots with multi housing. There's other issues I can bring up too.
How does it take away the residents' voice and being able to speak up on those things?
Because it's mandated. It's what Springfield does best of everything, and that's tell other people how to run their governments when they should be looking in the mirror maybe a little bit better. But what it does is it says, if there's such a lot, a developer can come in, grab that lot, divide it up into as small as possible. That makes it the most economical for the developer. Don't forget, and build multi-units, condominiums on lots as small as you just pointed out, 2,500 square feet. We won't be able to say no. And if the village, if the mayor and the board cannot say no, well, the residents can't say no either. So they haven't told us to the residents, but in my view, as we've looked at it and as other mayors have looked at it and other boards have looked at it, the right to speak and petition your government and the right to speak up at zoning meetings will be taken away.
And then there's the issue of what it could do to home values. And for sure, as you mentioned, having other mayors that you've spoken to, we have, this isn't an isolated complaint.
Right.
That
I'm
we're
the
hearing
only
for
one.
sure.
Right.
You are not by far. You are not by far. But with home values, how do you see that, an addition of condos or apartment complexes changing home values?
Oh, it absolutely will. Other than public safety, that's the number one job of government. The next job at the local level is keeping property values up. That's most people's main asset. And many times that's why they move to certain communities, schools, and their home values. So, think about it. A village like mine is predominantly single-family homes. There are others that, of course, have other beautiful areas of condominiums and smaller homes and things like that. But if someone can come, if a lot is empty or if some home wants to be destroyed or taken down by a developer, and all of a sudden now next to your single-family home is an 8-unit home, a bunch of ADUs, and there's nothing wrong with ADUs either if they're in the right spot. But it's the idea that these can be placed anywhere, so there won't be any effective zoning. This will certainly diminish single-family home values.
And you said ADUs, affordable housing?
No, alternate dwelling units, I think they call it. Some people call it granny flats. But, smaller homes that some people sometimes want to put in the rear part of their lots because they, a parent or a relative is getting older. There's certainly the right spots for those too. But again, consistent with a municipality's zoning laws. All of our communities are unique for one reason or another. Local control is being taken away, and that's just something we're not going to we're not going to allow without a fight.
And of course, the community of Burr Ridge is a wealthier community. It's a beautiful community. It's a beautiful community. But
I totally agree.
But let me ask you this, to those who would counter your points by saying, well, you price out young families or people who may not be able to afford those current homes that are there, what do you say?
Well, we don't want that to happen. Look, my wife and I raised six, well, as she says, we now have 6 adults. They're in their lives where they have young families. They're looking to live in our communities too. I certainly would like them as close as possible. I certainly know their mother would. So that's not the idea, but we're not the problem. I know the governor has made us the bad guys, and I don't think very highly of the governor doing that. Carrots usually work better than sticks, but it's property taxes. That's the main problem. Schools that get funded only and substantially through property taxes. The state has to get a much bigger role and take and be able to lower property taxes. Construction costs are so high. The infrastructure costs that have to be as part of this, none of that has really been considered. So it's not just zoning rules. We would like these types of homes to be in our community. I think I can speak for Burr Ridge. We would like it in our community, just not dropped in the middle of any single family area, because there may be other areas of Burr Ridge where this might work. There may be other areas of any other villages in DuPage County or Lake County or Kane County, but one size doesn't fit all. And that's the problem with the BUILD Act.
That's fair. Now, where does this stand? I mean, you all had a village board meeting to unanimously oppose the state bill, but where does this go now?
Yeah, we're going to continue to beat the drum. The DuPage Mayors and Managers Conference, which I'm on the board of, I'm a past president, it is convening a press conference. I believe Elmhurst might be hosting it this Friday, where we want to speak out as a group of mayors that represent our communities. We were just down in Springfield on what we call our annual drive downs that we do in May, because May is usually what happens down in Springfield. Mm-hmm. And so we met with many legislators who at least told us they agree with us, and that this bill in this form just will not pass. So we're going to continue to try to educate the residents. In my case, I specifically tell them this is taking away your basic right to petition your government and affects your probably number one asset, which is your home value. So we're going to continue to speak out on this.
All right, so Friday, Elmhurst, possibly a press conference then. Do you have a list of the other communities that are standing shoulder to shoulder with you in this quest?
Yes, I don't know of one community in DuPage County that doesn't agree with us. I noticed that there was an article today by 3 or 4 other mayors from other parts of Illinois that are trying to be supportive of it. I get that. That's why this is such a great country. We still have the right to speak our minds. But I think the vast majority of municipalities, no matter where in Illinois, are going to be opposed to this, and we will continue to speak out on it.
Okay, thank you so much, Burr Ridge Mayor Gary Grasso. We always appreciate having you here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. All right. And we'll stay on top of that Friday announcement that they are going to make, okay? It's 2:28, though. Give us 2 minutes, and we have a couple of things that we're going to get into. Hey, welcome back, everyone. 2:30 right now, and if you're hearing a lot of sneezing and maybe seeing a lot of people rubbing their eyes or notice some red eyes, or maybe the aisle that has all the allergy medication is empty, we're hearing that this particular allergy season could be a doozy, all right? And in fact, we've got the counts out for today from Loyola, and we have Dr. Rashna Shah, the lead of the Loyola Medicine Allergy Count, who is joining us now. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Looking over the list for today, I see tree and grass as high, particularly oak. Can you talk a little bit about why this is this typical for this time of the year?
So I would say typically tree season has always been studied as being highest from March until the beginning of May. And so we are in the beginning of May, but usually I start seeing that the tree pollen counts start dwindling by this time. Yesterday, in fact, our tree count was at a moderate level. So I was like, okay, maybe this is kind of the natural progression. But I think with just how our temperatures have been milder, with just the weather that we've had, all of the rain that we've had, that our tree seasons are not only getting longer, but they're getting stronger. And we're seeing this kind of late blooming of some of these trees too.
And on the flip side of that, I see weeds as absent, mold as low. And I'm thinking, how when we've had all this rain?
So weed season is also a very particular season. And that's the season that we typically know as like hay fever. So that season is August until the end of September. Sometimes we start seeing weeds in July. So that's very normal for that to happen. Now, mold is interesting because we have had days where the mold has been high. We've had days where it's been moderate, and today it was low. And it's all dependent on what the temperature and the humidity level is. So it'll be interesting to see, it feels like it's a little warmer today, that what the mold counts are going to be. And I think that's the importance of the counts themselves.
I think we ask you every time, but of course everyone's not with us every single time we talk to you. So it's worth asking you again, how you all collect this data.
So we have a pollen counting machine that's on top of our hospital. So it's on the 7th floor. It's exposed to the air, of course. And there's a slide that we place inside of this machine that's coated with silicone. The pollen is then essentially sucked from the air and placed on this slide. And eventually this slide moves for the 24 hours, it moves up. And then at the end of that 24 hours, I collect the slide from the roof. We stain it so that I can see which pollen is which, and then look under the microscope and physically count how many of each pollen is there. We're also able to then determine which pollen is present, as in different trees look different under the microscope, the pollen of them.
Now, as you said, we're kind of at the end of that time frame that you gave us for some of the things that we're seeing. What are we at the beginning of?
So this is the beginning, generally speaking, of grass season. So grass season is generally from May until the end of June. Now, grass season this year, because of this weird kind of spring that we've had, grass season did start in April. And so we've been in grass season, and we've had some high days and some low days. But the real key in grass season is when you start seeing cottonwood, like that cotton that flies in the air, that has nothing to do with pollen of the trees, but it does signal to me that that's when grass season is high. Today was the first day that I did see some of those strands in our slide.
Ah, very interesting.
Yeah.
And are there some other things that you're like just starting to see that you're noticing, or things we should be preparing for?
Well, I think when it comes to grass season again, it's May until the end of June. The peak of it seems to be around Memorial Day. So if you know in particular that you're grass allergic, if mowing the lawn, I would wear a mask, or if people around you are mowing, because this is the only time of year where, because the pollen it's that weedy portion that you see in the grass, because it's actually getting mowed over, it does increase the amount of pollen that's around you then. So wearing a mask can be really helpful. but keeping windows closed as much as possible. All of those kind of avoidance measures are really helpful this time of year.
And are there some things that we do that make it worse?
I mean, we're humans, and it's really good to be outside, and it's really good to enjoy this weather. I mean, it's a beautiful time of year, but doing some avoidance measures afterwards can make a world of difference if you suffer from allergies during the springtime. So taking a shower after outdoor activities, or even doing something like sinus lavage, which is also known as neti pot or sinus rinse, it helps kind of flush out the sinuses, flush out that extra inflammation and mucus, and also the pollen that gets deposited there. It's almost like taking a shower for the nose. But there isn't anything, I think, in general that we do that doesn't help us as humans. I mean, we can't live in a gerbil ball if you're allergic to spring allergens. And so it's really kind of adjusting some of our habits so that we can enjoy the outdoors and we can do these things.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I've said earlier in the show, if you're sitting in our newsroom or going by our newsroom, you just hear, achoo, achoo, but bless you, bless you. It's hitting us hard.
It is the time of year. So but thank you so much for having me too.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do. We appreciate you. All right, it's 2:37, everyone. And before we get to our next major discussion, we're also going to talk about our web trenders for the day, what's popping up online, what are the things that people are starting to look at on our website. Is Justine already with us? All right, we're going to bring Justine Baker into the conversation here. She's been doing the digging to see the data on our website. And Justine, what are you seeing so far? Uh-oh. All right, we're bringing her up now. No? Okay, all right. So one of the things that Justine is fantastic at is being able to see what people are actually, looking for, not just what's populating, but what are the things, the terms, the sites, all of the things that people are looking for. What are you seeing so far?
Yeah, so there's two trending topics right now that people are searching. The first one is going to be this Instagram instance. So just 3 hours ago, Instagram released a new feature called Instance. Essentially, it's kind of like Snapchat, where you're able to send a picture and it only lasts for 24 hours. You could share it with your close friends or mutual friends, and then they disappear after viewing. People are wanting it to have these more close, intimate social media moments, and users can end up sending that later and creating this recap.
That sounds like DMs on fire.
Right. And so the difference is you have to put a caption on the video. Right now, how stories are set up, you can just post a cute little video or you can put music on behind. Right now, they want it to be very raw, authentic. You have to put a caption, no filters. It's just very authentic and raw. And so it just released three hours ago, so it's brand new. They're going to have a different app that you can download as well, along with it being in the feature. It'll only live in the Instagram DMs section in the app.
Okay, so very much so like Snapchat then.
Very much like Snapchat. I think users are getting away from Snapchat a little bit. And so I think Instagram wants their hands in everything. They came out with Reels not too long ago, which is similar to TikTok. And bit by bit, they're trying to stay ahead of the game.
Expanding their territory. Okay, what is the other thing?
Okay, so the other thing we're talking about, so Audemars Piguet and Swatch have just released a collab. So what we know about the collab is that it's called the Royal Pop. So far, when they put the announcement out, over 11 million people have interacted with their video. It's a first ever partnership between the two brands, and people are super excited. They're going to have 8 different watches in this collection, and all of them are going to be very one of a kind. So typically, if you know anything about AP, their watches start off around $20,000.
I'm sorry, come again?
$20,000. With this collaboration, the watches are going to be $400. So people are so excited. There's a lot of chatter online. I actually just watched a video from our sister station, Fox New York. They had people camping outside for these watches. The watches release on Saturday. People have started camping out on Monday to get an opportunity to buy these watches.
Wow. Now, are we thinking the quality is going to be the same or not?
So it's already different because they're pocket watches. They're what are they called? Pocket watches, right? They're pocket watches, so they're different. But I think the people in the collaboration wanted it to be more accessible, and they say watchmaking is kind of going out of style, and they want something fun. They want something vibrant, and so people are very, very excited. I had saw online that some people interested in purchasing the watches are saying, hey, this is my opportunity to get an AP probably ever in my entire life. So it's worth the wait.
Mm-hmm. And are they keeping some things very similar to what what has been loved about the $20,000 watch in these pocket watches?
So the fact that they're all unique. So APs are known to have very unique features. Every single watch is different. So they will keep that aspect, and then they're bringing in that fun color from the swatch portion of the collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. And especially the fact that people have slept outside waiting for these things. You don't see that too much anymore. I remember back in the day when people used to wait for Jordans, take off from school or whatever the case may be to get out there for Jordans. I think we saw it for a while for gaming. But I feel like we haven't really talked about people waiting outside days on end for things anyway. Even Black Friday, we used to talk about people always doing the story out there with people camping out. It hadn't happened too much anymore.
Exactly. And there's only going to be one location in the Chicago area. They're only selling it at, I believe, the Oakbrook Center. I called them earlier to ask how many they are going to have available. And they said that they're unable to share the inventory on the phone, so you just kind of got to show up and see what they have.
Mm-hmm. Did you ask them if they have some people camped out outside?
As of right now, when I was looking online, they don't have anyone camped out outside, but I'm sure probably after this video, people will be camping out.
You are so right. Thank you so much for letting us know what's going on online. That's pretty interesting stuff.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We'll bring you back into the chat soon. It's just about 2:43, everyone. So give us 2 minutes. We're going to have a really important discussion, especially for the ladies out there. We're going to talk about a condition, a hormonal condition that affects 1 in 8 women in the country when we come back. At 2:45 right now, and a condition that so many women have battled for many years is getting a name change. And this is in hopes of improving care in the future. I want to go ahead and bring in Dr. Christina Boots, who is a reproductive endocrinologist working in infertility at Northwestern Medicine, to talk about PCOS now being PMOS. Thank you for being here.
Well, thanks for having me. I mean, it was a big, exciting day yesterday for this announcement.
When you say exciting, tell me why the name change could result in excitement for many people.
I think, with a name change like this, awareness just comes about, that we have an opportunity to talk about how prevalent and how significant this condition is and how many people it affects. And I think it just really gives credence to that, hey, this is a really big deal and it deserves a name that really describes it. For so long, this PCOS, every consult I have in talking to a woman, I also then have to spend, 5, 10, 15 minutes explaining how the name isn't really describing what they have and how it involves all these other things. So I think we're really hoping it's going to give a lot of clarity to the condition. It's going to improve how quickly women get diagnosed with this, how serious the condition is, and maybe access to certain medications and specialists, and maybe even funding to help increase the research that goes into conditions like this.
Yeah, so PCOS, for anyone who didn't know before, was polycystic ovary syndrome, and now it will be polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome. If someone doesn't understand that term, what does it mean?
Yeah, it is a little bit of a complicated term, but at least it's very, very accurate. So polyendocrine just directly translates to many hormones. And so it's a condition that affects many different hormones, not just the reproductive ones. The second term is metabolic. So this is the first time that it's really getting a lot of attention to. One of the most important aspects about PCOS is that a lot of women struggle with weight and maintaining a healthy weight. They struggle with the insulin resistance, prediabetes, and ultimately diabetes, as well as long-term cardiovascular health. So metabolic just is really referring to our weight, our insulin resistance, how we metabolize calories. And I'll say that, as a provider who takes care of patients with these, that this is one of the most common symptoms we have. And then the ONS is ovarian syndrome. And so in order to come up with this name, a giant undertaking happened, that they interviewed over 22,000 people, academic physicians across the specialties, as well as patients who have this condition and advocacy groups. So a lot of thought went into making sure that it's just as accurate as possible.
Mm-hmm. I remember a mentee of mine that went through a PCOS journey, and I only bring her story up because now she is a very outspoken advocate. But her journey to becoming a mother was so it was so affected by the PCOS. But to your point, it was the sudden weight gain that was like the first giveaway. That I think so often, this condition comes up and some of the symptoms come up as early as adolescence, right? When periods and puberty are starting. But so often we kind of quickly treat it with things like estrogen and progesterone or traditional birth control pills, which is typically the right answer, but often it hasn't come with a lot of education. And so then we get into our 20s and maybe early 30s and we stop the pills, and then all of a sudden our periods are all over the place and we're really struggling with a slowed metabolism, and the PCOS just makes it worse. And so it all seems to kind of happen at the same time, and it can be really dramatic for women. And there are all kinds of studies that show that there's a real delay from the first symptom that they're having to actually feeling like that symptom has received its diagnosis. It's a long time, and it's usually multiple providers, multiple different physicians and clinicians. So we're hoping that having a really accurate name and some extra awareness around this is going to help people find answers to this, before the weight gain gets really bad, or
before it even happens. I definitely have patients say, like, I wish I knew I had this because I just would have been a little more thoughtful in my 20s. And it's a good motivator to just be healthier and move our bodies more if you know that you're prone to have these weight gain and insulin resistance.
What are some of the things that we can do? I mean, can you prevent this?
No, you can't. You can't prevent the syndrome because polyendocrine metabolic ovarian syndrome, PMOS, we really believe is a genetic disorder. So you are programmed to have this or not have it, but it's complicated because it's multiple genes are involved that are turned on and turned off in such a way that set us up to have these symptoms based on our environment and the food we eat and the pollution in the air and all of these things. So you can't totally prevent it or cure it, but you can do a lot of things to modify it. So being really thoughtful about our nutrition and our physical activity, which is important for every human, but especially those who are genetically predisposed to this PMOS. So certainly lifestyle and just leading a really healthy lifestyle and talking to your physicians about it and saying, hey, can I get access to early screening? And there are absolutely blood tests that can help us say, hey, you don't have diabetes yet, but you're trending in the wrong direction at this young age. Let's use whether it's supplements or lifestyle changes or even early medications to help preventing it from getting bad.
Mm-hmm. And when you talked about, the fact that you may go to multiple specialists before you come to the actual diagnosis here, I mean, so much of this is I'm just reading over it. If you're, say, perimenopausal, a lot of this seems the same. Yeah. So how do you come to these are menopausal or perimenopause symptoms versus these are maybe your thyroid is, acting up versus PMOS?
Yeah. You have to see a physician and you have to do some evaluation. And that includes, a good understanding of what's happened. So taking a history, doing a physical exam, and then doing a comprehensive laboratory evaluation of your hormones. And there's a whole panel of things that we talk about, but you have to do the labs. We call PMOS a diagnosis of exclusion. And so even if you meet the criteria, you really got to rule out all the other things that can trick you into thinking that you have this. So sometimes it is premature menopause or perimenopause, and that's one of the labs we're doing to make sure that we're not confusing one with the other. We're always checking thyroid dysfunction when patients are coming in with symptoms related to PMOS. But there's a handful of other things that we're being really thoughtful about. So you have to access care, and I'm hoping that, this increased awareness is not only going to give some empowerment to the patients, but also to the physicians across the specialties. It is a condition that requires multiple specialists. That there's few of us who really specialize in sort of every aspect of PMOS. That we just can't be an expert in all of it. So making sure that you are advocating for yourself, but also those physicians are saying like, hey, I heard about that new condition. I'm going to make sure I get those extra labs, or at least send her to somebody who knows what those extra labs might be.
And is there a set time in life where this would be affecting a woman, or, a set time in your life? And I bring that up because, of course, I brought up perimenopause, menopause. There's a set time in life when you would expect those things. Is there a set time in life for this?
Yeah. It's mostly, I would say, a reproductive age disorder. So from puberty to menopause is where you're going to see most of the symptoms. And I would argue that it's mostly in even the 20s to 30s, because there are a lot of changes that as we get closer to menopause and our ovaries are smaller and there are fewer eggs around, that we see a lot of changes happen. And then post-menopause, most of the symptoms you're going to see obviously are not irregular periods anymore, but are really about that metabolic piece of having, struggling with maintaining a healthy weight, avoiding diabetes, and doing a lot of screening for, lipid dysfunction, obstructive sleep disorders, metabolic static liver disease, and all these other things. So the older age has more metabolic symptoms, although they're still present as younger. And then those reproductive symptoms like irregular menstrual cycles, high testosterone levels, and acne are really mostly seen in our 20s and 30s.
And if a woman has, say, a hysterectomy, does that change this?
So it only changes the fact that you won't get a period. And so you won't know if there is irregular cycling happening because there's no outward symptom of bleeding that happens. But your hypothalamus and your pituitary in your brain is talking to your ovaries still. So if your ovaries are still in, that condition is still there. And that's really, again, speaking to the reproductive aspect of this, the metabolic aspect of this doesn't change whether your ovaries are present or not.
The joys of womanhood.
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
better
me
at least that we
and
know.
talking about it. Yeah, great.
Very important
Thanks
that
so
we
much.
talk about it. Yeah, thank you. We appreciate you. It's 2:56, everyone, and I believe we're bringing in our own producer for the 5 o'clock show when we come back in just a moment here, so that we can talk a little bit about what they're gathering, the news gathering process as they get ready for the evening show. So give us 2 minutes. We'll be right back.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
right, 2:58 right now. We're peeling back the curtain, getting a little more behind the scenes of the news gathering process as we get ready for our later shows today. We have our 5 p.m. producer, Sloan Salerno, who is joining us now from the control room. Yes. All right, tell us what you all are working on.
So at 5, we have Kaylee Schuyler. She is live in Omaha on the hantavirus outbreak and all the people being quarantined there. So that'll be a good update. There was just a CDC update at, let's see, about an hour ago now, and she said there wasn't really anything new to that. And then we are going to do a little breakout on how they clean the ship, what's happened to it since then. Would you want to get on a ship that just had a deadly outbreak on it? Probably not. And then when is it going to set sail again? That's just kind of up to Dutch officials. So that's something that we're keeping an eye on.
They might need to change the name.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was saying they might need to change the name.
Yeah, they need to do a lot to it, probably. And then here in house, our reporters, Leslie, there was, this was May 6th, there was an explosion in flames at a condo building. And so the people who are injured, they're suing Nicor Gas because people are saying that before the explosion happened, they smelled natural gas in the building, and Nicor came, they say, looked into it, and then just kind of left without doing anything. And 8 people are in the hospital. Some are in critical condition. That includes 4 children. And so we're going to hear from attorneys on that today. That's what Leslie's going to be following.
I remember when that happened, and everyone, at first we didn't know like what was the cause of the explosion for a while. So there were so many theories as to why you would have such a huge explosion at that facility, that building, and to find out it was natural gas. Yeah, then your brain does start turning as to, okay, well, who's at fault for that?
Yeah, and they haven't determined the cause of the fire yet. So this is the attorneys saying, there was complaints of natural gas, back and forth there. So we're still waiting on the official cause of the fire for that and an explosion. And then we have Lauren. I know at one you guys talked about the Cook County payout that a judge is ordering for, deeming that the equity that they're taking for the homes, everything like that. So Lauren's going to dig deeper on that. She's following that for us. And then Joni, yesterday she had a great story on the Indiana sheriff who might be connected to that gambling ring at the restaurant there. And so she's going to do a follow for us on that, because tomorrow, the owner of the restaurant, Jimmy the Greek, he's in court tomorrow. So this is Gino's Steakhouse. So we're going to get an update on that from her tonight, which will be good. And so the sheriff is not charged in the gambling ring, but there are records that show he had financial dealings with them, that he spent like $72,000 that was intended for fundraisers and campaigns. So she's going to have an update for us on that tonight. Looking forward to that.
I think one of the most salacious parts of that investigation had to be all of the aliases people went by, as you said, Jimmy the Greek, like the long list of aliases. Yeah.
And then Tia's got a story for us tonight. So there's this girl, she's in 11th grade. She goes to Perspectives Rodney D. Jocelyn campus. And there's video showing around that she was beat up on 2 separate occasions by other students. And she was suspended for 10 days, but the other people in the video have not gotten in trouble at all. And so her mom and the girl are talking to Tia. And so we're going to hear from both of them tonight. They're basically asking the school to step up and do something about it. And Tia's also gotten some text messages from the girl showing that she was threatened and all these things. And so they're, wondering, how is this all this evidence? They're on video, there's text, why has nothing been done?
Wow.
And so Tia's still waiting for the school to get back to her on that. And so hopefully we'll have that by 4 or maybe 5 for you guys. So that's going to be something we're looking at today.
Well, so many people are interested in that. I mean, bullying is such a big issue in almost every school.
Yeah, definitely. And then Dawn is writing an interesting story for us tonight. So Northwestern created this really tiny, they're calling it like a polygraph. And so it's not being used to tell if you're lying. And it's really small. It's like they have a picture of it next to a quarter and it's that big. And they're saying the main use is to tell if someone is stressed. And so this would be for, babies who obviously can't tell you that they're stressed out or something's bothering them. And so it's like a little wireless device that goes right on the chest. And they said you can use it for, older people too, or, just people who can't communicate how they're feeling. And so that's going to be interesting to learn about.
Yeah, very interesting. Well,
and then,
go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to get into Across America, but go ahead.
No,
you had something to say on that.
Yeah.
So Across America, we're just going to do an update on the Alec Murdaugh trial. Obviously, a new trial has been ordered, but what does that mean? Is he in jail? Is he going to get out? And then there's a story in Michigan. These 2 people crashed their SUV into a dispensary. It's all caught in camera, of course. And then they're taking things off shelves. And then one of the guys is throwing gasoline on the counter. And when he lights it, he lights himself on fire. Oh. And so that's obviously a good Across America. And then we've got, I don't know if you know this, but I did not. There are jaguars in Arizona. And one was just spotted there.
Ooh.
So that's terrifying.
Slightly,
and then
yeah.
And then some other fun things we have. We just learned that Mayor Johnson is going to be meeting with the Pope at the end of this month. So that'll be fun. He's going to be at the Vatican in Italy. And as you know, the Pope just celebrated his 1-year anniversary, and they're both, Chicago men. So they'll have a lot to talk about, I'm sure. And then at 4, during their talker segment that they do every day, they've got an interesting story about how Illinois lawmakers are thinking about legislation that would require people who get caught speeding a lot, they would have to have those speed limiting devices in their cars. And so it'll be interesting to hear Tia, Terrence, and JD's take on that tonight.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, because you think about the technology that's starting to be put in people's cars if they have a long history of alcohol abuse, for instance, that would kind of limit them. But this for speeders, that's a wide swath that you're painting there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I know there are some, like a lot of companies do that on their vans already, to where if you go over a certain limit, it'll flag you. And some insurance companies even do that already, to where you can get a lower rate if you can prove that you're a safe driver, and so you have that in your car. But yeah, being mandated to have that would be interesting.
Oof, I don't know. All right, can't wait to hear their opinions on it. But thank you for letting us know. And of course, we love Across America. So keep at it. We'll see you, Sloan.
Thank you.
All right. It's 3:06. Give us 2 minutes, everyone, and then I'll set you up for some of the other things you can expect in this final hour here today for Chicago Live. And as you were hearing Sloan Salerno, our 5 p.m. producer, say, and we're still trying to get updates. Everyone wants to hear more about the hantavirus. I mean, if this was a couple of years ago, we'd all say, like, what? Huh? What is it now? But everyone's antenna is up right now when it comes to this particular thing. And so we want to go ahead and bring in Dr. Michael Angaroni from Northwestern Medicine. He is an infectious disease expert to tell us, where our concern level should be. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Give me your outlook on, what we've seen thus far, whether it is the cruise ship or even the unrelated case that is being investigated here in the state of Illinois. What are your thoughts on where we are with the hantavirus right now?
Yeah, so, we have two, I think, distinct hantavirus issues going on, especially here in Illinois. So the Illinois case is not related to the cruise ship. We don't know a lot about the case, but it's suspected that that's the typical hantavirus that we see here in the United States. Very rare infection. There's been around 900 cases over the past 30 years throughout the U.S. And was probably acquired through exposure to rodent, mouse or rat droppings or urine or other body fluids. The outbreak that's on the cruise ship is from the Andes virus that is primarily found in South America. that does have known human-to-human transmission, as has been seen on the cruise ship with individuals that have become sick from that hantavirus. Very kind of localized, small outbreak at this time, not a widespread outbreak, really just involving those individuals that were on that cruise ship.
Every time we hear about another case, again, of something that we really knew nothing about a couple of years ago, I think a society that is very leery coming off of COVID-19 is like, is this the next pandemic? Because in the beginning, we didn't know anything about that. And it was like, oh, it's over there. It's not. And then all of a sudden it was everywhere. So is that a legit concern?
I think that's a great question. And thinking about people's concern with, is this the next COVID? Is this the next big outbreak? There are big differences between the hantavirus outbreak that's going on the cruise ship and the COVID pandemic and SARS-CoV-2. One, SARS-CoV-2, we didn't know about that virus before we started seeing those first cases in late 2019, early 2020. That was a virus that was new to us as humans. The hantavirus, so the Andes virus, or the hantaviruses that are found in multiple different countries around the world, we know about those viruses, and we've known about those viruses for a long time. And so I think in the popular mindset and in popular culture, we don't hear about those viruses, but in the medical community and in the infectious disease community, we've known about those viruses. So that's, I think, the big differences between the two. When we think about, will this cause the next pandemic, the Andes hantavirus, the spread is very slow from person to person, and there's very few people that will become infected when one person has it and gives it to maybe one or two other people. Whereas with SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID, one person can get 5 or 10 or more individuals sick. And so you can see how that pandemic really blossomed and spread much quicker than what we would see with this virus.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when we hear that, though, when we think back again to the beginning of COVID, it was like, was it not a cruise ship then, too, where people said, oh, well, people had just been overseas, and even in this situation, you think about, okay, well, it made sense in the beginning. It's a couple in their quarters, close quarters together. But then when you start to see more people, whether it's the person who's on the flight or the person who's, trying to care for them or those things, then people start to wonder, I mean, are we seeing anomalies, or is this looking like what you all have studied?
So this is what this virus does when we see human-to-human transmission. It is closer, more intimate contact for prolonged periods of time. And when we think about the cruise ship, this cruise ship especially, it's not one of the large Disney cruise ships or the cruise ships that has thousands of passengers. This is a much smaller cruise ship. The individuals, when you're on a cruise ship, even though you might be in your own room or on the deck of the ship, you're eating in the same restaurant, you're probably intermingling in a lot of common areas or even in the same rooms as other passengers. And so this is a much different experience in terms of what we think of with a lot of other outbreaks in the general population. And we know that this virus, most likely, the initial individuals who are infected acquire this from animal exposure is the most likely route, and then they brought it on the ship and then passed that on to some of the individuals on the ship. We don't know how many yet because the incubation period is so long, but I think the fact that we've identified those individuals who are on the ship who are potentially at risk, they're being quarantined or they're being monitored. Again, I think this is a much different virus than what we think of with SARS-CoV-2, and a virus that we know more about. We know how this virus transmits and how this virus moves from person to person and through populations.
And be it that we've known about this for so long, what are your thoughts on the response thus far?
So I think the response, especially once we've had a few individuals that got sick and a couple of the individuals died, the response has been rapid to try to find out what to do with the other individuals on the ship, how to get them off the ship and into areas where they can quarantine, where they can be monitored. And I think that movement has been done quickly. Could it have been done quicker? It's possible, but it's hard to go back and reflect on events after they've occurred. I think getting those individuals off the ship and identifying this as soon as possible, I think has gone relatively smoothly. I think the fact that when the one passenger was in South Africa and was ill, and that's where really this was identified as being a hantavirus, was key to identifying these. And so I do commend the medical team in South Africa for thinking of testing for this virus for that individual when they were sick.
In saying those things, I've heard officials who have brought up the WHO frequently in this conversation, these conversations that need to be had between nations. And of course, we're not in the WHO anymore. So where do you see this sending our relationship? I mean, do you think we rejoin the WHO, or how does this affect how we handle these types of things?
Yeah, I think this is a test of that new relationship, that the US CDC being separate from the WHO and not being the initial or go-to health authority or public health authority to get involved with outbreaks like this. So this really it's a test for that relationship. I think it reinforces how important having that global relationship and being part of our global partners with what's going on around the world, so that all of us can respond. So not just the US CDC, but other countries involved, the WHO, can respond as quickly as possible. And so I think it really reinforces that. And hopefully it's a lesson that we learn and we kind of reevaluate this kind of separate relationship that we've developed and figure out a way to kind of work together and join back together, which I think is far more important than working separately.
Governor Pritzker put out a pretty pointed statement on Monday, questioning the CDC's preparedness after this outbreak on the cruise ship. He says here in his statement, he uses some critiques of the Trump administration, including why the federal government hasn't provided states with full passenger manifest from the cruise ship and whether Illinois residents had been exposed to the hantavirus. He also asked how DOJ cuts at the CDC have affected global migration and quarantine operations, and how the federal government is sharing information after its withdrawal from the WHO. What are your thoughts on his points here?
So, I do think some of those points with the reduction in the workforce in the CDC, a lot of the removals of key personnel or changes in key personnel has really impacted the CDC and how the CDC can act and react to different situations. I think, again, this is our way to reflect on how is the CDC doing now, or how are they going to handle this outbreak once it kind of runs its course, and how do we readjust? What do we have to go back to redevelop those relationships, to get back to the CDC that the United States and the world really respected as the leaders in public health management and management of outbreaks. There has been a definite effect on the CDC's being able to work with decrease in staffing and loss of some of that expertise. And I think we have to figure out how to get that back and how to bring that back to the CDC.
Dr. Angaroni, thank you so much for your time. I just want to circle back for anyone who's wondering, should they be concerned or going about life differently because of this right now?
At this time, I wouldn't change anything that you're doing with your everyday life. We should not be worried. We should be paying attention to what's going on, monitoring if there's any other individuals that get sick that were on that cruise or exposed to people on the cruise. And the Illinois case right now is not part of that outbreak. The information that we have is that it's a different hantavirus. It's the more typical North American or United States hantavirus. And so for right now, I wouldn't change anything that you're doing. I would just go about your regular, day business as usual, but stay informed and keep up to date with what the reports are, especially involving the cruise ship members.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Oh, no problem. Happy to be here. Take care.
Take care. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
It's 3:21, everyone. Give us 2 minutes and we'll be back to press on from here. Okay, it's 3:24 right now, everyone. And if you were with us in our 2 o'clock hour, we took you inside of the courtroom for the sentencing day of a grief author in Utah who had since been convicted of killing her husband. And at the time, I told you about, the fact that the prosecutors were looking at 25 to life for her. But when we took the view inside of the courtroom, it was the defense attorney who was trying to argue against that, trying to say that she has never had any issues before this and shouldn't be sentenced to that length in time. And in fact, in the victim's statements that were read during court today, her sons said that they were in fear of their life and urged the judge to keep her behind bars. Well, that's what the judge did, okay? This Utah mother who published a children's book about grief after the death of her husband that she's now been convicted of will serve a life sentence without the possibility of parole for his murder. The judge ruled this just moments ago. Corey Richens gave about a 30-minute statement in the courtroom today, speaking very specifically to her sons. I'm seeing there are 3 young children at the heart of this who essentially lose both of their parents, and they are being raised now by an aunt and uncle, the husband's sister and her husband. So Corey Richens now convicted in March of aggravated murder for lacing her husband Eric's cocktail with 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl at their home near Park City. This was back in 2022, and that jury also found her guilty of 4 other felonies, including insurance fraud, forgery, and attempted murder for trying to poison her husband weeks earlier before she was successful. Attempting on Valentine's Day of that year with a fentanyl-laced sandwich. The prosecutors say that, that she was in debt, planning a future with another man. And that's why she was trying to get rid of her husband. She had opened numerous life insurance policies on her husband without his knowledge and falsely believed that she would inherit his estate that was worth $4 million after he died. So yes, now she has been sentenced. The timing of this sentence, I'm sure everyone in this family, the Richens family, will be thinking about even more so, because this sentence of life without the possibility of parole was handed down on what would have been Eric Richens' 44th birthday. Can you imagine what his family is going through? All of the emotions. The prosecution had urged for this sentence to impose a life sentence without the possibility of parole, saying that the 3 sons should never worry that they may one day encounter her. The boys said in their memo to the judge they would feel unsafe, I was telling you this, if their mother was ever released from prison. And in fact, in her statement, she said that the messages she had tried to get to her sons in the last year, never got to them, but that she wanted to use the time that she had today to speak directly to them, hoping that one day that they will be open to having some type of relationship with her. And now we know that that relationship, should these children, these 3 young boys, ever want one, will be with their mother behind bars, because she's been sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. It seems like there's probably going to be an appeal on the way to this, because she has steadily maintained her innocence in all of this, but a jury didn't buy it. A judge didn't buy it, and so she'll have to go about it another way. This is a picture of her right here, that Utah author who wrote a book about grief, a children's book about grief, but now sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for the murder of her husband. Corey Richens will spend the rest of her life behind bars. All right, it's 3:29. JD Rudd just walked in, so give us 2 minutes. We'll set up and we'll bring in our meteorologist to talk a little bit about where we go from here with our weather outside. We've been all over the place this week. right, JD Rudd is back. We're halfway through the work week, sir.
Yes.
And when I tell you, I have seen people in like everything today.
Yes.
I mean, everything.
Yeah, I can imagine it has been literally everything, every article of clothing I can imagine.
Like we're looking out and it maybe it's a little more consistent than what I saw this morning, but this morning I saw short sleeves, I saw shorts, and I am not fibbing. I saw short sleeves, I saw shorts, I saw full coats. Yeah. I saw one man with gloves on, and I said, look, I try not to judge because everybody feels a different kind of way. I said the gloves might be a little too far. They might be a little too far.
But it was a little chilly, cool this morning, especially with the wind, and that's the thing. It's this time of year where it's deceptive because you see sunshine in almost mid-May, and you go, okay, well it's got to be warm. I mean, yesterday was warm for a time, and then today it's not that. It looks like it should be warm outside. We got a decent amount of sunshine, but in most cases, it's about 20 to 25 degrees cooler than what it was this time yesterday. We're barely at 53 right now.
Wow.
That's it. We were at 72 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So big difference.
Yeah, that is a really big difference. And so this cool air that we have around here today, is it hanging with us? Is it a part of a revival? I mean, what's going on? Oh, and I also saw a lot of lightning last night too.
Yes.
So I'll ask you about that.
A couple of storms that came through last night along that front that finally lit up after about 8 o'clock last night. They were quick in, they were quick out. Didn't last very long. We had no severe weather, but that was the cold front that brought in this cooler air for today.
Gotcha.
This is a one-day only sale. This is a today, it's in, it's gone. You miss it today, great, fine. Because starting tomorrow, it's mid to upper 60s. Friday the 70s, and then we get our taste of summer this weekend with 80s and some slightly higher dew points. It's not going to be full on humid, but it's going to feel a little more sticky. You're going to feel that stuffiness a little bit this weekend.
All right. So dewy, does that mean more storms? Yeah.
I figured you were going to ask me, that's why I held off. But yes, that's the trade-off with the heat and the humidity. You're going to get daily chances for thunderstorms. It's not going to rain all day long. I mean, look at the 7-day forecast.
What in the world,
it's
JD?
Peppered. I know, it's peppered with storm chances, but don't look at this and go, oh my gosh, 6 days of rain? No. I mean, tomorrow, sunshine 66. We're good for Thursday. Friday, morning rain chances. We should be dry for Friday afternoon, Friday evening. Most of Saturday looks dry, but with the warm air, with the mugginess, I can't rule out a pop-up shower or two, so I've put that chance in there just to be prepared. Now, Sunday's a better chance for storms, but it'll be the afternoon to the evening. Monday and Tuesday, those are the two best chances for storms. The stuff Sunday into Monday could be strong to severe. We have some time to iron out those wrinkles. We got to keep our eyes on that with a little feature coming through. And then we could see lingering showers into Wednesday morning, and notice it gets a little bit cooler by about this time next week.
I have friends coming in town to celebrate their anniversary, and I'm like, this is the forecast I'm going to send to them.
But there's a ton of caveats, and that's why
Welcome to Chicago, guys.
Yes, but the 7-day can be misleading. I know a picture is worth 1,000 words, but in those 1,000 words, you have to break it down and decipher it. So just at first glance, you go, oh, it's going to rain all day this weekend. No, it's not. Most of the weekend will be dry. It's just when it does rain, you've got to be prepared in case it's heavy rain, some thunderstorms, maybe some hail and gusty wind. We'll have to keep our eyes on that.
Maybe some hail.
It's ice. You know how it goes this time. It's going to be isolated. Whatever we see, it's going to be. It's not a wall of hail moving through every backyard. But with higher temperatures, with higher dew points, you run that risk of getting some stronger thunderstorms.
Now, seeing all of that, it takes my memory back to Mike Kaplan's note this morning, and he talked about a sudden bout of dryness.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
We were in this rainy pattern for so long, and then we had this little dry period, and then we're going to get these little dry hours here and there. It's going to be back and forth. It's just the tug of war of the seasons right now. It's just how it goes, the ebbing and the flowing of the atmosphere.
But so we needed a set amount of rain. Like, are we in a drought?
No, we're not in a drought, but any gardener, any lawn expert will tell you, on average, you need about an inch of rainfall per week to keep your lawns and your gardens
We got
healthy.
all that in April.
We had that surplus, but then we've gone so long without. I mean, so far this month, we've only seen 0.3 of an inch of rain. That's it. We're about halfway into May. We haven't even seen 1/3 of an inch of rainfall. That's piddly for this time of year. We usually have more moisture in May.
We're not riding off of like a
little bit. I mean, the tank was full.
A reserve,
The tank was full, and we've started to erode that a little bit. And keep in mind, I know we harped on it a lot. You know, Fox River area, some backyards were soaked. That did happen in April, but there were other areas that missed out on that. There were other areas that didn't get that surplus of rain. There were other areas who were like, hey, over here, please. And now at this point, after about a week and a half, 2 weeks of overall dry conditions, now we're starting to hurt a little bit in some areas.
Okay.
No official drought yet, but it is getting a little dry in some cases. So some weekly rain chances would be good, not 6 days in a row worth, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get rain every single one of those 6 days.
And the rain events that we have had thus far for May haven't been significant enough.
No, they haven't been producing at all. Like I say, grand total of less than 1/3 of an inch of rain. Keeping in mind, last month, April, we had, was it 9 inches of rainfall? We had a ridiculous amount of rain for the entire month. So we're not anywhere close to where we were in April. So we need the moisture.
Looking back at the temperatures, are we starting to get more consistent with warmer temperatures, or you think we're going to still take a few dips?
We're not into June yet, and I always joke, but I'm half serious, that the real warm air doesn't start until June. It happens every year when we get these little warm bouts, and it starts with a day or two, then it moves to about 5 or 6 days, then it moves to like a week stretch, and every time in between you kind of just rubber band back and forth. Today we had this little cool snap. Now we're going to go on a run of about 5, 6, 7 days of warm. I still think we pull back for a couple of days, and then once we get toward the end of this month, past Memorial Day, we'll probably slingshot our way into just day after day of hot air, humid air, and then we start complaining.
It's a totally different set of complaints for sure. But you know, thinking about again that man with the gloves on this morning, I'm like, I think part of my mind is just like, I'm like rebelling. I'm
You're over
not gonna do
You're
it.
done.
You know, I'm not getting that big coat out again. I refuse.
Because you had it in late November, you had it in
May.
December, you had it in January and February and March, you had it a few times in April, and you're like, I'm done with this.
Chicago expands your coat,
your wardrobe.
You know, your coat selection.
Well,
There's
you have
like
a fall coat, a winter coat, a thicker winter coat. You have a late winter coat, a spring jacket, you have a fall jacket. Summer jacket. You got all these things. You have to.
You kind of have to. You have to. And when you start ping ponging between them, I'm like, I did maybe a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh, okay, I gotta
I'll do it.
Like the mild cold coat, you know. But this week I was like, no, I'm doing the spring jacket.
That's right. I'm done. Everyone's at that
sticking
point.
with the spring jacket.
Everyone's ready to take all those heavy coats, the boots,
Put
the
'em
gloves,
away.
and stash them for a couple of months. We're going to get there. It takes time. I do believe this is kind of the last hurrah here of the really chilly air. It will still pull back a little bit by the end of the month, but I don't think as extreme as what we've seen as of late.
Yeah, I still think that, you know, spring and fall don't get enough love in Chicago.
Not at all.
We do summer better than anyone.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And we do winter like few
nobody
others.
else. That's right.
But fall and fall and spring just don't get a lot of love.
No, because you're still caught between the ebb and the flow of the two seasons. You don't really get a lasting. It's spring. It's fall. It's either hot, cold, hot, cold.
You know,
that's about it.
Yeah, layers on the kids for Easter. You know, like 2 days to go out and see the fall leaves changing.
Yeah. And you have layers on around Halloween. Sometimes you have snow on Halloween.
Very true.
I mean, those things happen.
Yeah.
But as you say, we do our summers right, and it's why it's the best few months of the whole year.
Summertime shine, nothing like it.
You get out there and you can enjoy it and not have to worry about any of that winter business.
Yeah, we'll get to it at some point in time.
Yes,
I was actually looking at like restaurants with rooftops and decks
outdoor
for my
seating,
friends, thinking about the time of season that we're in, and then I was like, but it's gonna rain.
But again, we can adjust those as we get closer to each thing. I wouldn't say cancel all your outdoor plans. Don't move everything inside. Just keep an eye on it. But I do believe there'll be a lot of dry time over the weekend. So don't completely shove everybody inside.
Oh, I'm telling them to call you. That's all.
That's fine. You can give them my number. I'll give them the time and temperature number.
Thank you for coming up. We will see you on the 4 o'clock news very soon, sir. Give us 2 minutes, everyone, and we'll be back. right, welcome back, everyone. It's 3:45, and what an amazing thing happened this week. There was a cardiac emergency at a high school track meet in Huntley, and the young person is alive today in large part because of people being CPR trained nearby and having an AED also available when seconds count. We want to bring in Brittany Walsh, American Heart Association Executive Director, to talk more about this moment and the greater implications of it. You know, we love and admire you all there at the AHA. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. Yes, this was incredible, and just thinking of this young man and his family, and so happy that he's okay. You know, this event in Huntley really underscores just how quickly cardiac arrest can happen and how it can really happen to anyone, including, you know, a young athlete, and just how important it is for people to know CPR and how to use an AED. That is exactly the reason that he is still here today. And, you know, here at the American Heart Association, we're really trying to make sure that everyone, you know, when they're at a track meet, when they're at school, that they are safe and that people know what to do in case of an emergency like a cardiac arrest.
And a lot of people would wonder, would I know what to do when it happens? Even if you get trained, like, would I know to put it into use? There were a couple of things there in terms of the fact that there were trained staff members. There was also, like, I think 2 firefighters who just so happen to also have kids at the track meet who hopped into action as well. And then that AED being available. So I want to take these things apart and talk about them individually. One, talk about how easy it is for people to get CPR trained, how often you should get that refreshed, and how you can instill, you know, courage in yourself, or confidence may be the better word, to know that you will be able to put it into use should the time come.
Yeah, absolutely. So it is certainly something that everyone should do, and you can go to heart.org to find out more about how to become CPR certified. In this case, for the schools, we really want to make sure through legislation that the people that were around during that time are trained and know what to do and have an AED. And here in Illinois, I'm happy to say that we're pretty far along. We have things like education requirements for CPR at high schools. There is available AEDs on site at schools. There's plans put in place, but Illinois is still far behind when it comes to safety on schools, and it really has to do with a few things. It has to do with making sure that all high school head coaches are trained in CPR. Also making sure that there is point teams, like point people, when it comes to these cardiac emergency response plans, and then also doing drills, to your point of like knowing what to do. You know, practice makes perfect, so we want to make sure at all schools that there are all 3 of those things added to what there already is in place when it comes to legislation around schools and cardiac emergency response plans, to make sure that everyone has a happy story like this young man.
Yeah, I mean, it really is so awesome to be able to say that he is still with us after this. So the legislation that you were speaking of there, House Bill 3275, do you know where it is in the process and if it looks like it's going to get through?
So we are advocating right now for it. So we could, of course, use your help by calling your lawmakers and telling them that this is something that you want to make sure happens in your schools, because they will listen to you, and school safety is very important, and saving lives through CPR and AEDs is.
Are AEDs expensive for schools? I mean, You would think that, especially when you see something like this, how helpful it was in this situation, that everyone will want to run out and get them. But can they afford them? I mean, are they pretty expensive?
No, they're not too expensive, but like everything, right? There's every school has a budget, and it's certainly something that is a requirement for schools to have. And the American Heart Association, through our funding, can even help to place these AEDs, be able to help in community locations as well.
Mm-hmm. And then when it comes to young people, obviously getting trained, having these things around, super important, but in the back of your mind, you're thinking, would we really have to use it at a track meet or at a football game? Talk a little bit about that aspect of it, that this could hit anyone at any age, and how susceptible young people, especially young athletes, are to moments like this.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually find that, there is a fair number of young athletes, right? Like we've heard it on the news before, certainly, of these stories. And it just shows how critical it is that everyone knows CPR. Here at the American Heart Association, we really aim to have a nation of lifesavers and try to make sure that one person in every household knows CPR. So to make sure that if you're out and about, whether you're at a track meet or maybe you're waiting at the bus stop or wherever you are, right, there is someone that will be around you that knows what to do in case of that cardiac emergency.
Is there an age that you can start getting trained at? Is there a too young? What is the general age that someone can start getting trained for CPR?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So we actually find one of the things that we love to teach is hands-only CPR. So of course you can become certified and kind of card-carrying certification and go through a lot of the classes, but we also know that hands-only CPR, just pressing hard and fast in the center of the chest, calling 911, and then pressing hard and fast in the center of the chest, is something that you can do. And we really see kids as young as fourth grade learning these skills, or even younger learning it and being able to tell an adult. We've heard stories of little children telling their parents what to do in case of an emergency. I mean, just think of the kids in your life. It's amazing what they hold on to and can really teach the adults as well. So it's never too young to start to learn what to do, and whether they can press hard enough, they might be able to tell someone around them what to do.
Mm-hmm. And for this, it's a cardiac emergency, cardiac arrest, specifically for this particular situation. How can people, aside from the person collapsing, how do they know if something is going wrong?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we always tell people, so if someone, goes down, right, their heart has stopped. So if you start to, we always tell people to tap them, right? So tap their shoulders, kind of shake them, see if they respond. If they're not responding, start CPR. They'll come back. They'll tell you if you start CPR and they're actually okay. So if they're unresponsive, call 911 and start CPR and grab an AED. Tell someone around you to grab an AED.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for making time for us here on the show. I know you all have so many different efforts throughout the year. Is there something else that's coming up that you want to emphasize while you're in the preparation stage for it, that people can mark on their calendar so that they can help raise awareness, or dollars to help you all in your mission?
Yeah, no, thanks for that. You know, CPR week is coming up, actually, the first week of June. So that's a great time to be able to brush up on your skills, brush up on them today. You know, go to heart.org and put in CPR, and you'll be able to watch training videos around learning hands-only CPR, or take a full CPR class leading up to CPR week, the first week of June.
First week of June. All right. Thank you so much again for being here on the show today. Thank you for what you all do year round, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Okay. Really important stuff that they are doing in advocating for these methods, the technology, for, again, the increased awareness and certification that will save lives when seconds count. This young man there in Huntley what is alive today in great part because of quick thinking people, but also that technology that was available to them there at the school, that AED being close by, and people being trained in CPR. So if it's been a while, and I'll say the same, you know, if it's been a while since you've had CPR training, maybe it's a good time to brush up on it. All right, we'll be back in 2 minutes. All right, welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much, as always, for joining us for another day of Chicago Live. We'll be right back here between the hours of 1 and 4 o'clock tomorrow. I just kind of looked over the list for the 4 o'clock. They're working on a CPD ICE interactions, a meeting that's taking place, a stabbing lawsuit.
To it. I'm not saying everybody needs to, but I'm feeling like that they're that type that they would want to. Yeah, exactly. The Marion type, so they say. Huh. Okay, we will see you tomorrow.
Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
Give us a few minutes, and here's what's worth your time today. Thousands